All right, this is the final conversation we have for the Remix Comix Day 2. As I said, comics and community is the subject of our conference. And I really like that Mazen said comics is a very solitary activity. You're alone, it's also for introverts very often. So there's something strange about the idea of comics and community and comics collectives. So this is the question mark. It's also the point of departure for our conversation. Katrina, maybe you just... We already started. Maybe everyone can sit down also. That's maybe the best way. I like it already. So comics collective, there's something strange about this idea of a comics collective. So this is the point of departure that we will talk about with these very nice 5 networkers. How to call you networkers? Spiders in comics webs. Persons involved in connecting festivals, collectives, individual artists, but also different disciplines. So we're very happy that we invited these wonderful 5 comics masters, how to put it. And I will first introduce them. Paquito Bolino on the right from Marseille. Hello. Most people know him.
Yes.
He has been on the comic scene for 30 years, 40 years.
More than that, I was student in this fucking art school of Angoulême, so it's more than 30 years.
Yes.
A long time.
A long time. We don't even know how long, but from Marseille, Le Dernier Cri, that's the collective that you're more or less...
I have to talk?
No, I'm just introducing. Katrina Mirovic, everyone knows her. She's one of the founding members of Stripburger and well, one of the hosts of our conference. Monica Hussar needs a little bit more introduction because we invited the Treviso festival from Italy, but they just had their edition and they couldn't come. But we're very happy that Monica Hussar wanted to join us for the talk. Monica Hussar is head of the Nova Festival in Pančevo in Serbia, and she is also a partner in the Remix Comix project, and actually the last festival of Remix Comix is going to take place in 2 weeks or 1 week even. So she can also reflect on the Nova Festival, which is a festival for also started for music but also ended up with comics, so this is something that she will talk about. Sanna Hukanen is also, most of you know her, but she's one of the editors of Kuti Kuti, which is a magazine but also a collective from Finland. And here we have Barbara Müllerova from Luster Festival in Prague. Well, maybe you can already applaud, right? We already like them so much. What I will do, on the back you see all kind of pictures, so if you're already dozing off, you can also just look at the pictures and get inspired by this, but we're also going to talk. And I have a few subjects, and you see them on one slide, but one of the subjects that I'm interested in is the space. And I want to start with Katra, not only because we're in Ljubljana, but Katra is one of the founders of Stripburger, but today we were on a guided tour about Metelkova, and basically Metelkova is very much a space, so the collective was created around the space. And could you maybe tell a little bit also for those who don't know about how Stripburger grew out of the Metelkova crew?
We actually didn't grow up at Metelkova. We grew up at Kersnikova 4, which is better known as K4. And it was also a cultural center in the center of the city with the club K4 in the underground. And it was half of the building was devoted to alternative cultures. This was in 80s, 90s, in 90 when 24 years ago we moved to Metelkova. So first almost 10 years we survived on Kersnikova, and this was a vital actually place for us because we were part of this bigger association which was built from 2 associations, Škuc Forum, Škuc and Student Culture Center Forum. and we got there a room where we could rehearse. So we had a band. We were doing hardcore concerts.
You were also in the band? You were also in the band?
No, I was just organizing. And we were also printing our own silkscreen posters on the corridor. It was a really nice space. Unfortunately, a few years ago, the city government sold it. So we have to moved out. And after we moved to Metelkova, these spaces were used by artists for their studios, rehearsing studios or painting studios or whatever. So yeah, space for us, we were gladly and happy and lucky that we were able to get a space in Kersnikova and to be able to build our own space at Metelkova. And I think the space itself it's always the most important thing from which real movements can develop. And okay, I can say something about Metelkova. Most of you were there. Some of you know Metelkova, but yes, basically what was it on the end of 80s, there was a movement for Metelkova. It was called Network for Metelkova, which was based on the fact that army barracks in Ljubljana were abandoned. So we knew that something will happen to the empty spaces, and the idea of this movement was to get the spaces for the culture and NGOs in general. But we wanted Metelkova mostly for the culture. And the city of Ljubljana, they signed the letter of intent, but on the end they suddenly started to ruin the buildings. And luckily somebody noticed and informed other people, so at the same day we squatted the place. And from this place, which was a really great moment, that did happen because it happened when Slovenia was a new state, where people were enthusiastic about their future. Probably not, this wouldn't be able to happen anymore. So we had lots of support.
We're just looking at your space, actually, so that's also good to
This is Tribune room.
For those who haven't been there, this is... Look who's there. No, but just I was thinking, because you just said space was essential for the beginning.
I still think the space is most
the physical space.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm looking at, because I know you have an atelier in Marseille, which was also very important for the beginning.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for artists is to have space where you can do your work, especially if you are a publisher, where you can do what you want. I started Le Dernier Cri when I was in Paris. In Paris, it was impossible, like an artist, to find a place to work, especially a place to set up a screen studio. So I started in the squat, it's Réseau Rangis. It was 1 hour from Paris, I trained. A place who looked like Metelkova at the beginning, who was closed now. And after I moved to Marseille, in a place who look like Metelkova now, with a museum around and more space for artists, but more institutional place. But I'm still working in this place since 28 years now, and I can manage to do what I want in my studio.
But I was, because Luster doesn't have a space. How did you start without having an atelier, like a shared space for the festival?
Yeah, it has many disadvantages, not having a space for your work. Like actually, after every festival and before the festival, we are storing the artworks sent and being in preparation to be sent back or whatever in our living rooms and basements. And yeah, like we always wanted, like whenever we get some funding and some budget, we always try to invest as much as we can to the program, which I think we have to we have to rethink this actually, because now it seems to be a bit unbearable anymore. Yeah, we have to think more about the sustainability of the festival in the future, like, I mean, in the terms of finances, but as well as like human energy and stuff. And yeah, one of those things is that we are going to rent an office for the very first time in our 10 years history, but I think that's not the only thing, like having the space. It's also about like having a space in your life to do such noblesse and luxury things as organizing culture.
But
Katra has an advice.
I think it's a good thing to go to the city and demand the space, because you're doing, of course, if you don't ask for anything, actually, if you don't demand the things, they will not give it to you. So you have to go and you have to tell them that what you're doing is in public interest, and they for sure have empty spaces which are not used for anything, and they should give you something, and they should be happy that they're able to give you something.
Okay.
I see you're nodding. Actually, you agree with Katra. Is that also what you did in Marseille?
Yeah, but in Marseille, when I arrived there, it was a big space. It was like an old tobacco factory. Everything was empty at this time. Nobody wanted to live in Marseille. Now everybody wants to live in Marseille. But so I can get a studio, and since the beginning, my studio was open to the public, so people can come like a zoo to see artists working, but at the same time see the books. So there is always one part of the workshop who is used to make exhibition. So this is how I could manage since the beginning to have guests, because I didn't have to ask a lot of money to rent a gallery or something, because there were always space in my studio for exhibition, and the artists who came to do something have an exhibition in my studio.
It's like a home, like the home of Le Dernier Cri.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Kuti Kuti. Does Kuti Kuti have its own gallery, or?
At the moment we have, does this work? At the moment we have a small office in Pasila in Helsinki, and it's basically we are storing things there. It's like quite a mess, and our producer is working there, and there are like 5 artists from Kuti Kuti who have their working spaces in that place. But we don't, we live all around Finland, so everybody's got their own working space, and when we come together, it's mostly on the festivals and events like this, meetings sometimes. But what you said about going to the city and ask for a space, that would never work in Finland.
Well, it wouldn't work also in Slovenia if you weren't stubborn enough. And it took us maybe more than 10 years to get first money also for our activities. But it never happens, they will maybe not embrace your idea the first time, but they should, and you should convince them that they should do this more often, and maybe more associations should come with you together to demand this space, because everybody who's doing these kind of things deserves it.
But I started with space because I was so amazed with the Stripburger headquarters, if I can say that, because it really, ties the room together, as to use the famous phrase. But I can imagine that collectives also are not born out of a space, but also maybe a cause, for example, or a certain ideal. I wanted to ask also Sanna, because Kuti Kuti, what was the first step to take? And I'm not talking about, let's put it different. Why did you start Kuti Kuti, or why did you engage in Kuti Kuti as a collective?
Yeah, Kuti Kuti started in 2005. And it started as an artists collective, but now we have there were maybe 10 people in the beginning in it, and now we have 65 members, so it's a bit different. It's more like an artists association at the moment, but we do still work as collective or as like many smaller collectives. So we form collectives around projects that we want to do. And now we have, for example, we are planning our 20th year exhibition. So we have like little collectives working around that. And we have like, sometimes we have collectives making kuti magazines. I will talk about it a little bit more later. And well, the other activities we do, like as to keep the collective together and to serve the members of the collective in a way, is that we have like workshops for our members so that they can get new skills. And we do have like editing circles, because if you're a comics artist, nobody's really ever commenting your scripts. And this is a problem. So we have like little circles where we read each other's scripts and we comment them to make like better scripts. And also we are looking for, we talk about contemporary comics in Kuti Kuti, that we are making contemporary comics, and sometimes we have found it difficult to define what it means. So it's like, well, we think of it as something new and experimental and interesting, but if we try to define it on the next moment, it will be something else again. But we are looking for young people who are only beginning to make comics, who are making something that we think is interesting, and then we approach them to ask them to join us so that we can help them to go forward with comics and to develop their skills and ideas.
So there's also an educational element in it for young.
Yeah, we have some workshops, like we've been doing risography and these editing circles, yes. But we kind of want to support them also by taking them to be members of the collective of the community, so that they feel like more empowered to do what they're doing.
That's also a thing that's very relevant for the Remix Comics project, of course, to work with marginalized groups, right? Maybe Monica is the head of the Pancho piece of Remix Comics. Maybe you can explain a little bit how. No, I have one question first. It's a little bit out of context, but I remember once I was in Belgrade a long time ago. I started to be interested in zines, and I asked whom to talk to, and then someone in Belgrade said, "No, you shouldn't be in Belgrade. You should go to Pancho. This is the home of comic zines. There's nothing happening in Belgrade." And I didn't understand that, because Belgrade is a city of millions of inhabitants and Pančevo is relatively small. It's an industrial town not so far from Belgrade. So maybe you can first explain, is this true? Is Pančevo the home of comics in Serbia? And then later I will, if yes, then I will ask another question.
Okay, I feel like a Schrödinger cat in this conversation. I will explain this because I'm part of this conversation, and at the same time I'm not sharing the same experience as people who are comic program or festival organizers. And I'm also part of the comic scene, and at the same time I'm also not part of the comic scene. I will explain. Actually, we are organizing a comic festival, but I am a director of a PR agency, so public relations agency. And the idea that was actually that activated us to organize something in Pančevo was that we, as a PR agency who is specialized in the communication with media, with national media in the field of culture, we were okay to give something back to the local Pančevo scene, and also to give something new to the or old. It depends on how you are thinking about our situation, to give something back, to organize something. And we started as a music festival. It was a new music festival, underground or free jazz or alternative or any kind of new music. And the comic program was like the side program. It was just an off program. It was one exhibition that was somehow related or connected to the musical program. And the idea with the comic exhibition was started because We have Aleksandar Zograf or Sasha Rakezic as a really famous comic artist living in Pančevo, and he was one of the organizers of comic program in Electrica Gallery. But Electrica Gallery was closed because of the restitution. It was a part of Cultural Center of Pančevo, and the part of the building had to be brought back to the original owners. And then there was nothing going on with underground scene, not just comic scene, but also with underground music, alternative music, or any kind of performance. It was just a mainstream cultural programs that were organized in Pančevo. So since we had as a PR agency, we were working with a lot of foreign embassies, with a lot of foreign cultural centers in Serbia, and I thought I was in position to ask for their support, since they were our clients, to help us to build to rebuild community, like an underground community, but that's really hard. We are trying. This is our 9th year, and I'm still not satisfied how the things are going, because Pančevo is a small city and it's very near to Belgrade. It's like 10 kilometers from Belgrade, and young people are gravitating. They're going to Belgrade for university. Now they're going out over there because you need just a 20-minute ride. And since the Electrica was not working anymore, we didn't have any space to just organize any not mainstream events. So we started with the music, and then we ended up with comics and a little bit of music. Now we have one music performance
is that also because
and a lot of exhibitions.
But is that also because Comix is stronger? Because I was asking if Comix is a thing in Pančevo. Do you agree as a citizen of Pančevo?
I'm not sure how to answer. I would like to say yes, we are still the center of comics, but actually we are not. I think now it's Belgrade.
Paquito doesn't agree. You do not agree?
I went to Pančevo. The first time I went, it was in Belgrade. It was in Electrica at this time. I set up the screen studio in the place with the people who were driving the place at the moment. But after, some of these people moved to Belgrade, and now the scene, the underground scene, I think now graphic scene is in Belgrade. There is also a festival in Belgrade called Novodoba, who runs since years. Tomorrow I go to this festival because it will end Sunday, so I try to do the two at the same time. And that's it.
Yes, very good.
The only thing that's good to our Pančevo scene is that the Zograf is trying to find young people. He's doing his workshops, not only connected to a festival and our program, but also during the whole year, trying to find young people who are maybe interested in visual art, not specifically in comics, and to work with them to somehow try to rebuild the scene. And after 4 years ago, we were approached by a French institute in Serbia, and they asked us if we want to be some sort of an operator and organizer of first comic residency between Serbia and France. I was a little bit surprised because for me, Novodoba Festival, since Joanna is from France.
Joanna Markadesh is the organizer of Novodoba Festival in Belgrade.
Yes. I was a little bit surprised because it would be totally normal for a French institute to communicate with one of their citizens who also have a very nice, very famous comic festival, but they were actually interested not to do anything in Belgrade because they were thinking about decentralization. And with Sasha and me, they were aware of the situation with Pančevo as a comic center now in the past, and now nothing was happening at that moment except our small, really small, like a festival. It was not a comic festival. It was, in that time, it was a mixture between music and comics. So since we have a PR agency and we were also producing and organizing some events in the field of culture, they asked us if we want to be like a local partner in Serbia. So we started 4 years ago. We started with the first residency program, and as we speak, we have a guest in Pančevo. We have a guest from Angoulême. She's a young comic artist, Madeleine Pereira. She's having an exhibition in Pančevo, and she will stay with us for 1 month and also participate in all the activities we will organize during this like a comic month. It's
this is indeed the exchange program, Pančevo and Angoulême.
And
basically.
Boris Stanic, who is participating also in Remix Comics, and you will see
He's here,
mural.
maybe or not. Oh, he's.
I think he's preparing for tonight premiere.
Okay, very good. But maybe just to...
He will go to Angoulême in the middle of October, and he will stay there for 2 months.
It's 2 months. No, but I think this is an interesting thing, because this we talked about Metelko as a very local community, but has grown into a ex-Yugoslav and then a European and a global community. I was on Luster Festival 2 weeks ago, and what I found interesting that you invite other festivals to show their work on the Luster Festival. So I was also thinking about we go from local to national European. How does Luster Festival in Prague, how does it connect with other festivals? And does it also create a scene, we're talking about local scenes, but also about European scenes? Does it create like a transnational scene, collective, if I may?
I would not say like transnational. I would like to say it was like local scenes on one place. Because even though I think you can today search quite a lot of things like just via internet and via Instagram and reach like people from the other side of the world, this seems to be usually quite shallow. And I really like to work with curators from other states and other continents and so on, who has like deep insight in the local scenes. And every year we have a little exhibition that's called like National Lunch. So last year it was Japanese Lunch that was created by a Japanese curator and illustrator. Before that we had like Mexican Lunch. And this year we had like 10th anniversary, and we were like, okay, like when person has a birthday, you usually like invite your friends, and what are the friends of the festival? These are like other festivals of illustration and comics. So we basically invited like 10 festivals and gave them space. So each of the curators or curator collectives that are organizing these festivals had a space to show what they think about what's the freshest and most like interesting on the local scenes. And we don't want like to create some like tasteless and like everything including international scene or something, because I think this is very artificial and nothing like that really exists, I think, like phenomenologically. But we just wanted to like make people from these local scenes meet and speak together and like have some fun together and exchange some knowledge and so on. But it should stay still very local, I think.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. If we go back to local, so collective, local collectives, European collectives, one thing that we as Remix Comics found very important is also to reach out to marginalized groups. We talked about this before. Sanna, you also did some workshops with certain marginalized groups, and how did it translate into output or
Yeah, I've been organizing like community art projects that use Comix as a tool, and I'm in another organization in Finland. We've been also working together with Kuti. It's called World Comix Finland. We have come up with this. We have developed this kind of a Comix method that is very quick and easy to teach to people who have no experience with Comix, and we've organized like workshops to asylum seekers in Finland, some environmental activists. I've organized workshops for people with disabilities in Tanzania, and also in Finland we've had some, and the last workshops that I have organized were for people who speak endangered languages, basically in Russia, Finland, Norway and Estonia. But in Kuti magazine, maybe I should talk about Kuti magazine now,
Oh
because
yes,
it's
well,
like
I said
connected
output, I mean magazine is
to,
the output,
to
yes.
communities. And this is a magazine that Kuti is publishing 4 times a year, and it's a free comics magazine. So we distribute it in libraries and universities, art schools, cafes. But it's, the magazine is in Finnish, but we always have English subtitles under the artwork. So we have lots of subscribers around the world. But in this magazine, we have also had these interesting issues. We have a different theme every time because we have a different editor every time. And the editors are always our members, and they have different connections to different communities. So for example, this issue is from 2021, and it's from a project where artists and researchers were working together. It was called Comics and Migration. And during this project, we were also organizing these grassroots comics workshops with the refugees in Finland. And the aim was to explain to Finnish people like why these people are here and what are their backgrounds, because they were, in 2015 when we started organizing these workshops, there was this really strong racist reaction when there were lots of asylum seekers coming to Finland. So I think this specific Kuti magazine issue was very interesting because we had comics from artists, but also comics from people who have never drawn comics before. And they're very strong, like very powerful. Comics is such a good method for this. We've also had a theme issue on history that had some interesting community, like insights to community and things. And then we had one issue. One of our members, Miisa Rantanen, has been working with the Autism Foundation in Finland. So she was making these comics with her. She was organizing workshops of them. And another example from last year, that was our response for the concern about the war in Europe. We had this open call issue that was themed peace. And we had like lots of comics coming from all over the world, and they were also connected to other conflicts, not only the one that is now pressing in Europe. And the newest issue is actually, as an exhibition on the wall here, I was editing this together with an artist and activist collective. And it is themed Art, Activism and Hope. And we were inviting 7 people to make comics into this magazine, and then we made some works ourselves, and we were trying to find out how we can move from like individual thinking into collective making and thinking. So we were making some of these artworks collectively, and even the artists that we were inviting to take part in this, we were having a process together with them to think of ideas and kind of to discuss them while they are working in their comics. And this was interesting because in my collective only 2 people are comics artists, and the others were from other disciplines. They are from theater and they are sound artists. So we combined all our fields in this magazine, so there are also sound pieces behind links, and there are some texts. So it's like multidiscipline.
This is actually super important also because today we talked also about art bru and also like outsiders art, but also outsiders can also be seen like amateurs, not like schooled comics artists actually. I'm also looking at Paquito because I think you also work with, I mean, I learned from Erwin's presentation that you're into art bru.
I work with a community of artists. For me, the first time I met the people who drive l'AS in Bielsam, with a place where handicapped people can come to work every day in workshop. It was more than 15 years ago. They came in my studio in Marseille and they say to me, do you want to work with handicapped people? And I said to them, but I just work with handicapped people because all the artists are handicapped people in the society. So since this time, we start to work together. So the community of artists of the Dernier Cri are the artists at the beginning who were making books. We don't really do comics anymore. It's more graphic art, and it's also about the medium of C-screen. We all work with C-screen. So I have a network all around the world of studios who make C-screen, not necessarily comics, and also these people in Laes and Bielsam who have a C-screen studio, and so we work together. So I try to bring artists. For example, these handicapped artists from Belgium, they come every year in Marseille. And
I think he's even on the slide.
Yeah, we saw Irene and
what's his name?
Huh?
What's his name?
Irene, Gérard, and Pascal Leider.
Pascal, I think, right? Yeah.
Yes, there is a girl also, a woman who make a nice drawing. It's her age. But we have a big collaboration with these people since years. And it didn't finish for the moment. If you see the exhibition of the Dernier Cri later, you can see some of the books that we did together. But when you talk about community, it's important also the community of artists. So all the people that the Dernier Cri published in the beginning are people who are not from the same country, but who have the same mind in a way. You know, it's always something a little bit subversive, or a little bit intègre, we could say, something a little bit different. So different for the comic scene, but also different for the art scene. This is why when I met these people from the art brut scene, something fit really well together quickly, you know, so that's it.
That's beautiful, yeah. I'm looking at the audience. I was looking all the time at the panel and then I didn't give attention to the audience, but I can imagine there's also some questions from the audience, or remarks, or criticism even, or something to share.
Don't push the criticism.
Maybe they're tired, or
Katra wants a criticism.
or criticism. Oh, Katra has criticism. But you have criticism, no?
Yes, there is a question.
Ah, very good, very good.
So I'm sorry, I don't have a criticism. I maybe maybe I have a question that's not even for you because I want others to answer more. We're constantly, for example, asking ourselves how to reach younger audiences because it seems that a lot of people in comic scene, when they either they start to draw or they become famous or they create their name, they're about, at least in Slovenia, they're around, I don't know, 30 to 50 years old or something. But I was wondering, do you have any suggestions or what do you do to reach younger audiences?
I can say what we do. We have
It's a question for everyone. Maybe you can all
we have a contest
find an answer.
for kids from elementary school and high school. It's called Živo strip, živa animacija, viva comics, viva animation. So each year we have a contest through which we present two artists from Italy and Slovenia because we have Italian partners. And with this context we make around 500 kids to draw comics each year. And then we select everybody gets an award. An award is not award, a gift. It's a mini comic book which is drawn by one of the previous participants. And through this contest we met already some artists that now have even a few books published already. So this is a way. It's not, it starts with big numbers, but usually puberty kills them all. And then some get awakened during their studies, they get awakened again, and these are few that are left. And I think as I heard many times from the Ministry of Culture and also other educators, they all have the same problem. How to reach kids when they're in high school, when they deal with mostly with just with themselves. And also, probably now it's not just themselves, but also these mobile phones and digital tools that are preventing them to have physical connection.
Thanks.
Paquito, you
Yes,
have-
Monica.
Yes.
Monica would like
Yeah.
to. First Monica, and then.
Yeah, it's like a question. We talk a lot about that, not just in a PR world, but in a cultural art world. And Creative Europe or UNESCO, they all have programs for audience building or growing, but I think actually it has to be some sort of a joint activity. It's not just that we need to be to organize like a great festivals or to have like nice events with famous artists or parties or free drinks, I don't know. It has to be a joint activity. You have to educate young people. You have to bring comics into the schools. You have to make comics as a mainstream media, which is not the situation in Balkan countries. Maybe somewhere in Europe, France, I don't know, but in Balkan countries, we don't use it as a regular communication medium. You have to bring comics in art schools. In Serbia, we do not have any art school teaching anything about comics, and you have that in Belgium, France,
Czech Republic,
Germany, Czech. So it has to be a joint activity. Then you have to organize nice events, so you need money because you need the space. If they are not supporting by giving you like a space in galleries, cultural center, institutions, if the institutional spaces are closed for the comics, you can make it only like an underground event or make like a pop-up exhibition, but it has to be a mainstream, and then you need to have like money for the marketing and everything, and of course the creative part is always present, so organizers should also educate themselves to curate the exhibition or to pay the professional curators to work with other artists in the field of visual art, music, I don't know, to make like a cross communication between sectors. So I think it has to be like a joint effort. It's not just one thing. And
I see that Katra has a question. Just a short remark, please.
I think a very important part of this, to these activities is also publishing. So if we don't publish also comics for teenagers, then we definitely will lose the public.
Says the publisher. But that's also good, because I wanted to also to ask the question to Barbara, because I was at Luster and I think the audience was very young. At least I felt very old. So maybe you can tell us the magic trick to have such a young audience. Maybe.
Yeah, thank you for this question, because actually I wanted just to note that we really don't know, and I wanted to add one really bad example of our practice, which is like we have really young audience, really. I think it's a natural thing. We do not do anything special for it. It's just natural because comic and illustration is a big thing in Czech Republic among youngsters. So this is like just going on. But when I started to work for Lustre in 2020, I wanted to create some part of the exhibition program that was targeted at elderly people, because I wanted to create a festival that was more open to all the age groups and all the different groups of interests. And for 3 years, we created part of the program that was targeted on older people, like with history of illustration and so on. And we paid our PRists to create promo in related media, and we went to really classical radio channels where I was speaking about history of illustration and comic, blah, blah, blah. And no one came. We really didn't meet elderly people at our festival for 3 years at all. And then I was speaking with Dennis Elbers, who is leader of, or main organizer of Graphic Matters Festival in Netherlands. And he said, hey, Barbara, I think that you have
I think it's Belgium.
Oh, in Belgium. Yes, you're right. It's in Breda in Belgium. And he said...
That's Netherlands, sorry.
Okay, it's Netherlands. So you confused me. It's in
Doesn't
Breda.
matter, it's all the same.
Doesn't matter. And he said, you have too many target groups, you should shorten it up and choose 3 maximum. And I said, okay, mostly young people are coming, we won't make any special program for elderly people anymore. And we cut up these promotions in related media and so on. And this year we had the largest group, of course, they were most of the audience were youngsters and families with children and people in my age. But there was the largest group ever that came to our festival, in this group of elderly people. And I was like, okay, so what's the logic and magic? I really don't know. So there's something between sky and the earth. I really don't know.
Well, it's really, the world turns upside down for a lot of festivals, but that's also good to hear. Another question. We're almost at the end, but I can imagine there's maybe some more questions. Is there a question you have to your other panelists? Yes, there.
Maybe we can talk about festival.
Yeah,
so there is different kind of festival. All the festivals that we are talking about are real comics festival, but the festival like the Nouveau Doba one is part of a network of festival more on the graphic scene with a small studio who produce in different countries limited edition books who are real outsider, also a little bit like outsider artists. Just to show to young people there is another way to exist like an artist in this world. There is another way to survive by doing his art. You don't have to think normally in the capitalism way. Not everybody have to go in the same way. With your style, you can find a solution to do what you want of your life. So this is what I try to learn to the people who come to my studio. I don't do a lot of workshop with young people, but I have a lot of students who come to, because I work every day to print, so it's not the same. We have an equipment and we learn, and I give the knowledge to other people. So they learn how to print these screen books. They learn, if they stay 1 month, for example, at the end, they have to do their own books by themselves, even if the style of the drawing is not my style. They have to learn how to do, and at the end, they have the machine and they do what they want, But I think it's good to show to the young people to use all equipment like that, even if we are in a time of IA or a printer and all these kind of things. I always notice that when you show to young people how it works to print, especially with this screen, because it's a magic way to show the effect of color and graphic, it works.
Well, one thing that I was thinking about, I heard you published in Kuti Kuti and Paquito Bolino published probably in Stripburger. There's a lot of interconnections already here in the well, Remix Comics, your partners in the Remix Comics project. So this is already a tight knot of collectives in a way. This is also one of the reasons why we organize these things. So I hope that today and tomorrow you also will be inspired by all these interactions with like-minded people across disciplines and borders. I think we can move on after dinner with a program which is less talking and more looking. There will be the Comix premiere of the murals, so we can see the murals made by Teresa and by Boris Stanic. And there will be a performance also, so this is another thing, not just sitting and listening, but also to see how comics and performance can create synergies. And later tonight we will also learn more from Le Dernier Cri, because you will open your exhibition at...
there will be also one sculpture piece by Serbian artists, and also another 3 murals. And the last one by Mazan Kerbaj.
Of course, yeah.
With our associated partner. And then on the way to Gallery Alcatraz, we will see also video about documentary, short video about sort of presentation of Metelkova, feeling on Metelkova by Kristina Kokal. And then we will move to Le Dernier Cri in the Alcatraz Gallery. And after that to Grapefruit. We started 8:30 at the corner of Majstrova and Masarykova. And then we come at 9 to Alcatraz Gallery, and we move at 10 to Vasya Studio, Grapefruit Studio, a little on the other side of Gromka. Space where there will be an exhibition of also one of the artists from Ljubljana, based on Metelkova, who is also in connection with Le Dernier Cri. They did some things together, and Vasya will also have a noise performance there. So lots of stuff to see tonight.
I want
Be
to thank.
prepared.
I really want to thank you all, Paquito, Katra, Monica, Sana, and Barbara, for sharing their thoughts. Thank you for listening, and well, see you tonight in Metelkova.
Thank you, Guido, for speaking with us.